Current Affairs program. That's Journalist Hangout on Sunday. The Central Bank of Nigeria has ordered deposit money banks not to pay customers making over-the-counter withdrawals of new naira notes. The Apex Bank directed the banks to load their automated teller machines with only new notes to ensure that the currency circulates across the nation ahead of the January 31st, 2023 deadline, when old notes will no longer be legal tender. The bank issued the directive to the banks on Wednesday and ordered that the implementation must begin immediately. Adekunle Yusuf, I still went to the ATM this morning, and my funny bank, don't let me mention their name, because early this morning when I woke up, the first and last I got one very funny deduction that was made from my account, and I was seeing this for the first time. It attracted my attention because that was the first time I was seeing electronic money transfer levy, and the sum of 200 naira was deducted from my accounts.
Did you transfer billion?
Money transfer levy. So that levy is strange to me. I don't know if you have come across that kind of deduction before. They deducted 200 naira. And I said to myself, okay, now Central Bank of Nigeria, with the Emefiele quagmire back and forth, they are still standing on the 31st, that deadline. Now, if you are to withdraw now, if you are getting money from the bank now, the new notes, we don't have them in circulation. Now, the ATM that they are talking about to be loaded, maybe tomorrow when you go to those automated teller machines, maybe tomorrow they might be loaded. But as at now that I'm talking to you, most of them, they're still dispensing old notes.
Well, I collected money from a POS yesterday.
POS?
Yes, yesterday. Okay. I still have part of it, ma'am. And all I was given, new notes. And I didn't ask for anything.
You got new notes?
Oh, you say I still wow. But no, I won't lie to you. That's what happened. Okay. I just said, oh, there's how much. And I did transfer on my phone. And when it gave me new note, that was the first time. But I was lucky to have seen it before yesterday when there was a briefing and they came with it. But collecting it from either ATM or POS, that was the first time yesterday afternoon. I was given new notes.
I'm going to set my eyes on.
And the woman that collected before me, the same thing she was giving. And the woman was extremely reluctant to collect it. I had to intervene to convince her. That is what happened yesterday in Ketu.
Because orientation.
I was that no, madam is actually the. He said, but they will not collect it. They will collect it. So grudgingly, she collected, and when it was my turn, and they gave me new notes all through. I said, wow, it was the first time I have this money. And where I spent the money, nobody complained. I thought maybe nobody complained. They accepted it from me. You see, the CBN, we need to do more jobs because the banks can frustrate that policy. I'm talking about commercial banks. You need to, the monitoring and surveillance on these commercial banks, we need to be more aggressive. You see, the deadline, there's enough time if we are serious. But if we are not committed, if we are not serious, we will run into big problems if the policy is sabotaged. You get my point? It doesn't take up to 1 week to get these things circulated if all of us agree that this is what we want. But if people within and from without just decide to sabotage, because you will see many people are not happy, or let me say some people are not happy about this policy, but it is the way to go, unless we don't just want a different country.
By now, I expect that they would have started mopping up those old notes, and we have like 60% or 50% of the new notes in circulation.
Honestly, at the rate we are going, we might be forced to extend the deadline.
Yes.
Because those notes are not available. Banks are complaining that they are in short supply to them. That's what the banks are saying. Even the new notes, some of the ATMs have not been reconfigured to be able to dispense the new notes. It's happening. There was a banker reportedly said, he saw the note for the first time at a party. A banker said, somebody was in the bank said, I have not seen the new notes before until I got to a party. That's why I saw the new note. So if a banker has not seen the new note, how do you expect? Not everybody be as lucky as Adekule as the new note. You know, what I expect is that there should be both notes should be in circulation.
This is the remnant of 20K I collected yesterday.
All right. Both notes will be in circulation, such that people will get used to both of them. Now, if the notes were in circulation, the woman that you persuaded yesterday, would not have had a problem because she would have gotten used to seeing the.
Okay, this is the 1,000 naira.
Yes, that's
1,000 naira.
Exactly.
Just like
I'm seeing that for the first time myself, honestly.
Yeah,
I'm seeing this for the first time.
Okay. The woman will have gotten used to it. Do you know what I think might also happen? If we don't do something about it, if we don't flood the market with the new notes, what might happen is I'm beginning to think about those who make daily sales. Daily sales. What is going to happen on the 31st to a trader who has to be paid? How would that trader, a trader that makes money daily, how would that trader exchange the old notes for the new notes on that particular day? Okay. I think that we should have them. What I also think will happen is that when it's getting close to that day, many people will start rejecting the old notes because of the fear that they don't want the notes to remain with them on the day of the deadline.
This panic mind.
And from the explanations we've had so far from CBN, there will be less of 1,000 naira notes in circulation. They want more of lower denominations.
On the contrary, the only thing you find in circulation this old 1,000 naira notes.
When you go to your ATM, you will never see 1,000 naira. I don't think you will ever see 500 naira from what they've told us or we have heard from them. What you will see will be 100 naira, 200 naira. So you see that they are printed more of lower denominations and less of this. The reasons for that is to dissuade, discourage people carrying heavy, bulky sums of money all over the place.
Banking.
You understand? So they want more people, for financial inclusion and all of that. But these are lofty ideas. We need a lot to be done. There's still a lot to be done to be able to benefit from this. Because if there is a sabotage, as I'm saying, along the line, the crisis on the overall economy can be more catastrophic than we ever imagined.
BKO, you moved from Abuja to Yola. I don't know, maybe you've, that area, you've seen the new Naira notes, the new denomination.
No, I've not seen the
is it
new Naira note. And the unfortunate thing here is there are not enough banks. You can imagine the whole of Yola here, there's only one branch of Access Bank. And Access Bank today is
the whole of Yola or Jimeta?
The whole of Yola, even neighboring Gireis and Jimeta, because those communities are largely fused into the state capital. Well, the state capital, I'm talking about the state capital, the central business district here. Only one branch in the state capital. When you enter, you see a huge crowd. So our people are going through a lot with some of these policy changes that have been introduced. I have not seen the new notes. Banks do not have enough. I wonder how you can set a time frame of January 31st as the final day that the old notes will cease to be legal tender. Yet, you have not managed to circulate the new notes sufficiently. ATMs are still dispensing old notes. I was in one of the banks here in Yola the day I got here. These old notes that the ATMs are dispensing. Now the CBN has said, do not pay people new notes over the counter. Go and put those new notes in the ATM, in the automatic teller machines. But the truth is, because banks do not have the new notes in sufficient quantity, they are forced to continue to dispense old naira notes. You can only comply with that directive when you have enough. And from even what the CBN has told us, what the deputy CBN governor has told us, contract was issued for 500 billion new notes, of new notes valued at 500 billion to be printed. That is not sufficient. That is not sufficient. I pity farmers in our villages because people are going into the farms using the old notes to buy up produce from them and dumping those old notes on them, knowing that the burden of exchanging these new notes and old notes for new one will be on the farmer who has sold his crops to you. And in places in the north, Maiduguri, Yola, where we are, you need to enter a bank in Maiduguri or Yola here to know the pains that people go through just to receive proceeds to be legal tender. When it's not as if the banks have employed new tellers whose duty will be to simply receive old notes from people. Ordinarily, because of insecurity, the banks in the urban centers, they are the ones that are active. In many states, banks in the rural areas have been shut because of constant attacks by armed robbers. So everyone has to now go to the banks in the urban centers. How are our people going to cope with this? The CBN appears to have underrated the logistical challenge that will naturally come with this kind of policy change within this time frame. I understand that they don't want it to clash with the electoral, but just as we had with the NIN, there is no way that our people can meet this deadline because of all kinds of problems and the fact that there is even insufficient new notes. Nigerians are now asking the question, where is the CBN governor at this time? Where is he? Who is taking decisions in his absence? What is he doing outside Nigeria? People need to know, because his position is too critical for us to have an absentee CBN governor who probably out of fear of being arrested. Yes, who probably out of fear of being arrested is moving from Jamaica to the US and all these places. And there's a lot of work to be done. CBN decided in its wisdom to hike interest rates. What has that led to? It has led to reduce borrowing by corporate concerns. So that will even affect banks in the end, and they need credit to be able to keep their businesses going. So how do you increase interest rate at a time like this? Again, even their policy, the CBN policy, has merely favored those who are hoarding dollars. It has favored those hoarding dollars more than anyone else. We've suggested that, look, don't sustain a dual exchange rate. But the CBN has refused to listen for reasons best known to it. So those who have dollars would rather hoard it and wait for a time when it's gone up And of course, you know, even in the official market now, the naira continues to decline at a worrisome rate in the official market against the dollar. In the year 2022, the naira declined by 23.5% to the dollar. It is the highest margin in Nigerian history. So something is even wrong with the way the CBN manages our monetary policy. I am not excited at all by some of what I'm seeing.
And finally on this, when you look at it, ultimately, we might get a kind of extension from CBN because, I don't know, not feasible.
Is there a crime if we extend the deadline? We've committed no crime.
But right now, if CBN is issuing directives saying that from 31st of this month, that this will stop to be a legal tender.
As far as I'm concerned,
some people,
we still have time, we can do everything. But when we get to a point that is so abundantly clear that we need more time, we can extend the deadline. This deadline wasn't handed down by the Almighty God. They are human beings. So we have committed no sin if we do. Is it not because of Nigeria? If it is in the national interest to do so, why not do it? You don't need anybody to pass a law to do that. You just decide. Look at the parameters, look at the situation. If it, you know it's,
some people will tell you that yes, laudable move is expedient, but timing is wrong.
Timing is very wrong. You know, if we in the city, like Lagos, are finding it difficult to access the new naira notes, you can imagine remote areas where maybe they have to go from one community to another, travel to see a bank. Look at what BKO just told us, that in a state capital,
yes,
only just a bank has just a branch. You can imagine. So what is going to happen is that if we don't find a way of solving this, many people are going to find out that the money they have will be useless to them. You understand the 31st?
I think that's why our people are discouraged
especially
to patronize the banks when you don't have enough branches. When you
especially trade,
keep money on a daily
especially
basis.
some of these traders, petty traders, that live by the day. They make daily sales. They will suddenly discover that on the 31st, the money they have is useless. That is why I said by the time it gets close to 31st, many people will start rejecting.
Yeah, I trust Nigerians now.
Nigerians,
they'll take it upon themselves. Even if there's an extension, they'll tell you.
If the CBN wants to succeed in this policy, it has all it needs to
yes, make
succeed.
the money available.
If it wants to fail, it has all it needs to fail. To fail. So we don't have anything. We'll be here to discuss it because there is CBN branch virtually in every state of the federation. You can mobilize and distribute and mop up the whole note, and if you have it. But if you don't have it and still stick to 31st, Nigerians
why are the notes not available? Why are the new notes? Why is CBN not supplying the banks enough of those currency, those denominations? That's the issue here. Banks are complaining that they don't have enough. CBN said they should load the ATMs with new notes.
500 billion naira will not be enough, as the contract CBN said to have signed, that amount of money will not be enough in circulation.
And then there is, with that, the CBN is trying, in my opinion, to solve one problem. I pray it doesn't create bigger problems.
All right.
Those who stop the way money is.
All right, now, moving on now, across the country,